Assalamu alaikum. Inshallah, please, brothers and sisters, please ask your questions. Assalamu alaikum. Please ask your questions in the format. So the first question is from initials MY from Dundee, Scotland. Which of Imam Ghazali's book do you recommend for the beginner seeker of knowledge?
Bismillah. I wouldn't necessarily recommend Imam Ghazali's book for a beginner in seeking knowledge. I wouldn't necessarily do that. Not saying anything good or bad. I just wouldn't necessarily. There are many other books that a beginner can begin with. Even though the word beginner is a broad term. Beginner who knows Arabic, beginner who doesn't know Arabic. Someone who's beginning the professional road of seeking knowledge professionally, but they've actually been to high school, in Islamic high school. They have some background, some basis, some foundation. A beginner of knowledge or beginner student of knowledge who has a good amount of common sense. Someone who isn't necessarily weak-minded and feeble-minded, easily influenced and swayed. All right. What's important is I wouldn't necessarily say that that's from the first things that you should read. Are there many concepts that Al-Ghazali mentioned in some of his books which are crucially important for the beginner? No question. Like purification of the soul, sincerity, and things like this. But these are mentioned in other books as well, let alone the Quran and the Hadith. So the beginner, student of knowledge, like I said, it depends on what you mean. And it depends on what field you're studying. Arabic is different. Knows Arabic, a different story. First thing to study in Hadith, in Aqidah, etc. etc. There's a broad, general question. I wouldn't necessarily say start off with this book of Ghazali as a beginning student of knowledge. La. Even though there are many concepts in many of his books which are crucially important and needed for the beginning student of knowledge, from the most important of them is the purification of the soul. But Al-Ghazali isn't the only one who spoke about that. There are other ulama who wrote about the purification of the soul. For argument's sake, one could say I could lead you and steer you in the direction of somebody else, such as Ibn al-Qayyim, which may be better for the beginner and safer and cleaner. And Allah knows best.
Please ask your questions in the format requested. Abdul Hakim. Abdul Hakim, Fort Worth, Texas. Assalamu alaikum. Is Maryam on a higher daraja than Zachariah? Because when she is told that she will have a son, she doesn't ask for a sign while Zachariah does.
What is the benefit that we get from this question? First and foremost, tangible. Secondly, is Zachariah a prophet and is Maryam a prophet? Just because one person mentions a thing or asks for something doesn't mean that they're better or lesser. Let alone the fact that it sounds, and Allah knows best, it sounds as if it's some type of traces of some type of tasawwuf, Sufism, the bad Sufism, in which some of them consider someone who doesn't ask Allah for something better than someone who does. They consider, some of them, not all of them, they consider that one who doesn't ask Allah for a thing, don't even make dua, some of them say. They say he has a better status with Allah than one who asks Allah for something. And they base it off of several different muqaddimat, several different precepts. First and foremost, they say that the totally weak, inauthentic, fabricated hadith, hasbu ilmihi bihali an su'ali, aw kama jaa. It says Allah surely knows more than what I can actually ask for. Why do I have to ask Allah for something? Allah clearly what? Knows. They say, what's the point of making dua and Allah knows that I need this thing? What is the inauthentic? Also, the concept of asking Allah for things, protection, refuge, granting. They say the best thing is just to submit to the qadr of Allah. And don't ask for anything. Whatever Allah decrees, let it happen. You want to have a child, just stay in your house. Allah will make it happen. So it seems as if some of that is in the question. Because this one asked for a sign and another one didn't. We don't say that. And Allah knows best.
And it was VA from Calgary, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, may Allah bless you for all your efforts. Is it permissible to watch shows with music in the background?
Question says, coming from Calgary, is it permissible to watch shows with music in the background? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah reward you well for your kind words and give you the reward in this life and in hereafter, and also the fact that, before you even get into the concept of music in the background, is it permissible to watch a show? Is it permissible to watch a show? Whatever that show is, a TV show, a game show, a movie, a documentary, etc. Is it permissible to watch something on a television screen in which there are many things that may be on the screen or be on that show? Whether it's music, musical instruments, singing and dancing, whether it is uncovered women who aren't your mahrams, uncovered men with tight clothes on, all right? Violence that's unnecessary for you to see, okay? Mockery of the deen, calling to kufr even through subtle ways. The point is that there are many things that can possibly take place and happen when you're watching something. Music isn't the only thing from among them. Everybody understand this? There are many things. And Allah knows best. What's important is the concept of music. That's the issue. It's well known among the people of knowledge. Okay? Whether you're watching it, whether you're listening to it, whether you're playing it, whether you're learning it, that's clear with regards to the ruling of music. Everybody understand this? Now, one may say, if I'm not trying to listen to the music, but I'm trying to actually watch the education, watch the things that are in the background, or learn, or something that's just mubah, and I'm not actually, the music is ghayru maqsood, I'm not even trying to listen to that. Now, somebody could say it's okay for those who say that music is haram. They may say it's okay in this instance because you're not trying to listen to it. And others may say no. Whether you're trying to listen to it or not, you can clearly hear it, and you know it's going to be there. So as if you're trying to intentionally listen to it. Let alone the fact that many shows, TV, movies, documentaries, a big part of the show or the movie or the documentary is the what? It's the music, the score, the soundtrack. And there's a detailed, in-depth science of music and visuals. A science in which when this instrument is playing, it makes you feel like this. The piano, the strings, you hear the harp, you hear this, you hear drums, you hear soft, slow. It makes you get into a mood, and it fits perfectly with that scene that you're watching. Whether it's entertainment, edutainment, education, entertainment, or just education. That's well known. All right. So the bottom line is, Muslim says music is haram. I don't listen to music. The scholars say you cannot listen to music. Then don't watch anything that has music in the background. Okay. This is one way of looking at it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. What's important is if you don't listen to music and you consider music to be haram, just stay away from it. That's the best, safest thing to do. And Allah knows best.
And this was OB from UK. Assalamu alaikum. What is the best edition printed in Fatul Bari?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Question come from the UK with regards to the best print and edition of Fatul Bari. There are many different prints. Me personally, I'm old fashioned. I prefer the old print. I prefer the Taba Salafiyya print. And with many other brothers who've been in Medina prefer that print as well. However, that was done many years ago. And since then, the book has been reprinted in all different types of ways and styles. Okay? It depends on what you like. If you can do with the old typescript, shibhu makhtut, it looks like as if it's a handwritten manuscript and that doesn't hurt your eyes and you like that, then stick with that perhaps. Because that is the depended upon version, in which most of the ulama, the researchers, they quote from that. Volume 7, page 50. It adds up with that one. As far as the new ones, let's say مثلا the Dar Taiba one. Alright, Dar Taiba. Alright, Al-Firyabai مثلا. His Tahqiq of Fath al-Bari, the volumes don't match up, but he has in the margin where the original reference can be made. It's cleaner, it's newer, it has more footnotes, better referencing. Perhaps that's better. Perhaps that's better. And there are other prints of Fath al-Bari as well. What's important is it depends on you as a person. What type of person you are, how good your eyes are, and what you like. Some brothers, they can't read the old prints. They despise them, detest them. And Medina says, what is this you're giving to me? Mufti, take it away from my eyes. It looks like a manuscript. And I take the book and I says, what do you mean? It's clear as day. قال حدثنا عبد الله بن مسلمة عن مالك عن يحيى بن سعيد. And not only is it clear as day to me, but I like it like this. It feels nice and authentic and rugged. So it depends on you as a person. And also it depends on how much research you're willing to do. If you can make the takhrij yourself and go back to yourself and you know your way around the books, that's one thing. If you need the actual referencing, the number, the print, the comma, this and that, then get a newer print. What's important is the book itself. Get a good print that's suitable for you, but do not become a print monger, in which people, as if they just quote unquote worship the tab'a. Linguistically meaning they just worship the print. They don't read Fath al-Bari. They don't study Fath al-Bari. They don't quote from Fath al-Bari, but the print. I got the nice print. I got the new print. I got the old print. I got the classic print. And the print looks so beautiful on the shelf. Everybody understand this? So this is something which is a reality. It was a reality when I was in Medina. You would see brothers walking in the Prophet's masjid with a nice, beautiful Tab'a Sultaniya print. Beautiful. You open it up, ask them to read one sentence, they can't even read out the book. Or the book is totally untouched, clean, like it came out of the plastic. What good is that? And the brother who has a print, they may have a khata, a typo, a mistake. It's not the best, but he's reading Sahih Bukhari and studying it and memorizing. That's better for him. Right, about clearness? And obviously the best thing is to be in the middle. To have a sound print and use it and utilize it. What's important is that books are not for show. Books are not for show. The culture is when you're doing a documentary or a lecture to have the books lavishly laid out in back of you. Those books aren't being touched. Is that haram? We're not saying that's haram. Is that makruh? I'm not saying that. To have a nice background of books, that's tayyib. But there has to be some books in your library in which the books are actually being touched and the color is fading off. And you yourself have written the numbers. You make your Dewey Decimal System, the way to find the books in the library, in which the books are being put to use. They're being what? Put to use. They used to say this in Medina, that the books would cry out. They would cry out and be begged to be picked up. They're lonely on the shelf. Collecting dust. Books are made to be what? Used as as he said, the great warrior, he said weapons should be hardy rather than decorative. They should be hardy rather than what? Decorative, pretty. Nah, your toolbox should be something that you actually use, not just sitting there with the craftsman label still on it. The paint should be scraped off, right, Uncle Foz? You actually putting the tools to use. That's the most important thing. And Allah knows best.
Mohammed Bey from Brampton, Ontario. Did the Prophet himself ever wipe/wash above his elbows and ankles during ablution?
What's important is in Sahih Muslim, the Sharh of Sahih Muslim, An-Nawawi rahimahullah, he explains this issue, and that this is from the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When making wudu, it's not obligatory, but the correct view is that it's permissible and recommended to wash a bit above the elbow and a bit above the ankle, as is mentioned in those authentic hadith and explained by the people of knowledge. From them, there's a Nawawi and al-Minhaj, that is from the prophetic Sunnah, yes. And Allah knows best.
Read from Kashmir. What advice
Kashmir
would you
where? Kashmir in full country.
This is VA from Calgary, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. What advice should we give to a friend who has lied to you?
Advice to give to a friend who has lied to you. It depends on why the friend lied. Sometimes lying is necessary. You have to. It's reality. It may be a situation which is a necessity. He has to lie. He had no choice. He may have lied to protect you, to keep you safe from something that he knows or she knows that you cannot bear, and it would destroy you. Different story. He may have lied to make peace between you and someone that you're fighting with. Their friend may be your husband or your wife. وهكذا. So it depends on why they lied. And also depends on the lie. There may be a friend who lied to you because something really, really embarrassing. Something really embarrassing. They may be hiding a sin from you and they're ashamed to tell you about it. He says, "What's this? Where'd you come from?" He says, such and such, such and such. Because he's too ashamed to say, "No, I have a drug addiction." You see what I'm saying to you? What he's trying to get rid of the drug addiction and hide it. And he's asked Allah to remove it from him. But he doesn't want you to know. So it depends on the lie. It depends on the lie. It depends on why he made the lie. And also depends on what type of friend the person is. A close friend? Your homie? The one who's close to you? Or someone who's just an associate? Or someone that you really don't know that much? Or he's a friend, but he's, a bit different. Everybody hearing this? There are different levels of friends. Now, at the end of the day, hypothetically speaking, your friend lied to you, and it was unjustifiable, and they're a close friend to you. Did they lie to you before? Or is it the first time in 10 years? You can't throw away a 10-year relationship just off of one lie. 10 years of loyal service that he was to you as a friend. That doesn't make sense. Irrational. Or has he lied before? Or he's lied to other people? Or at least he's been attacked of being a liar. And people have claimed that he lied to others. Then that's a problem. That's what? That's a problem. Okay? There lies no doubt that someone can have a clean house and they can have an ant. And he sees he sees an ant in the bedroom. Or a water bug. Or a mouse or a roach. Whatever. Says, what the heck? Person freaks out. Picks up a shoe, picks up the spray. What is this? There's an ant in my bedroom. And the rest of the house is crystal clean. Everything is clean, neat, and orderly. No big deal. That's not the same person who has a dirty house. This is leaking. This is dirty. This trash can is spilling out. The dishes. It's a different story. You see a bug. In most cases, they're what? A whole nest of them. وهكذا. At the end of the day, talk to a friend and advise them and admonish them that lying is haram unless it is a necessity, and that a friendship is supposed to be kept sacred. Why would you lie to me? You hurt me. I'll try to make up. I'll try to, forget about it, but it's going to take some time. How can I trust you? Well, how can I tell them how you feel? And perhaps that will soften that person's heart. If they make tawbah and they made a mistake and the shaitan overpowered them, then forgive and forbear. Wallahu alam.
Initials TM, Ontario, Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. What is the meaning of the verse in Zukhruf? So one is brought up in ornaments and in dispute cannot make herself clear, attributed to Allah.
Some of the people of knowledge, they say this is talking about the genus of the feminine gender. Females, the genus as a whole, and not every single woman. Some women, some of the best lawyers, some of the best writers, they can talk and argue, but as a whole, some people of knowledge, they say this. In which women, the concept now, obviously, before we go further, according, this is not my speech, some of the ulama say this. What's important is Islam, the proper understanding of Islam and the proper application of Islam cannot be politically correct. It's impossible. And it was never ever made to be politically correct. The true Orthodox Islam is not, cannot, will not, has never been politically correct. On any issue that you want to talk about, all right, any issue, other faiths, women, men, homosexuals, LGBT, whatever, Jew, Christian, whatever the case, it's never been made to be politically correct like today. This understanding of Islam, this practice of Islam, this modern interpretation of Islam, that's a different story. But the authentic, genuine, orthodox text cannot be politically correct. Allah says, الرجال قوامون على النساء بما فضل الله بعضهم على بعض وبما أنفقوا من أموالهم. Allah says that the men are protectors, maintainers over women, because Allah has given one virtue over the other. The male sex, gender, is supposed to be what? Dominant and superior. Even in the Arabic language, the fatha is above the what? Kasra. Kasra is beneath. You say anta, you say anti. Allah says because what He has given virtue of one sex over the other, وَبِمَا أَنفَقُوا مِنْ أَمْوَالِهِمْ, and because of the wealth that they spend. This verse is impossible to be politically correct in 2018. What do you mean a man is better than a woman? What do you mean a man is a protector of a woman? What do you mean a man is supposed to spend? I work, I have a job, I have a car, I have insurance. No man tell me anything to do. I'm independent, I go to school, I have a degree, I'm a doctor. How is she going to ask your permission to leave the house? It's 2018 in New York City. Can I leave the house? Can I let this person in my house? She disobeys you, you admonish her, you don't have intercourse with her, you beat her. That can't never be politically correct. And it's not in the hadith, it's where in the what? In the Quran. So it can't be politically correct. That's first and foremost. And any other issue that you want to talk about, it is not made to be like that. The Muslims being weak, weak-minded, physically weak, financially weak, politically weak, militarily weak, that's a different story. We have to twist and bend and interpret the text to make them go with the environment in which we live. That's a long discussion in itself. What's important is the concept of what some of the people of knowledge mention, a woman and a man. Why is it haram for men to wear gold, solid gold? Why is it haram for men to wear pure silk? The scholars of Islam, they say from the reasons why it is haram is because these things are meant to be completion, or things that complete deficiency. The complete deficiency. The deficiency of the woman and her insecurity and her need to adorn herself and to look pretty and to look nice. She needs gold and silk and these things to patch up what's missing. And the man is what? Not supposed to be like that. From the completion that Allah created him in, the genus, we said, the jints, not every single man. Some men, speaking about myself, are very lacking and deficient in many aspects of life. But the jints, the male, is supposed to be complete, whereas the female is what? It's lacking. Everybody understand this? So these scholars, they say that a woman wearing gold and silk and jewelry is not the attribute of the male, the man. Because the man he doesn't have these, or it's presupposed that he doesn't have these major character insecurities, in which a woman has to feel pretty, has to look nice and dainty and beautiful, and the man is supposed to be what? Rough and tough, rugged. I don't need no gold and no silk. Everybody understand this? I have farm land to look after, a horse to ride, a sword to swing, an axe to swing. There is no time for me looking pretty and nice in this manner. And what? Of luxury. Everybody understand this? That's a whole long discussion today, how we live, how we dress. But we're just breaking it down what they say. So they say that someone who's raised upon jewelry, a baby is born, a baby girl, from the first things you do is you get the baby girl what? Gold earrings. Or gold what? And not necessarily with the boy baby. Some cultures, some people, but that's not how it's supposed to be based off of this ayah. Well, and it says, and a person is غَيْرُ مُبِينٍ. When they argue, when they fight, when they debate verbally, they can't make a clear, decisive point. They say, based off of the genus, not every single man and every single woman, but a woman arguing and speaking and basing her argument off of most of the times what? Emotion. how I feel, what you did, da 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 da. And the man is presupposed. There are men who are feminine. There are men who don't have ration and they're not rational. They're not rational. They don't have logic. But a man is supposed to be what? Based off what? Facts. Controlling his emotion. Okay, look, no problem. I apologize. It wasn't haram, but I still apologize. No. Flying, throwing things, having a tantrum. A woman, emotionally. And the man is supposed to be calm, collective, and strategic. This is what it was. This is what it is. This is where we're going right now. I can't have time to argue for an hour. And the woman wants to what? Argue and curse and disrespect your mother, your this, your that, da, da, da. Emotional. Just divorce me right now. The man divorces her. She calms down. She sits down. And then she's calling him, what you doing? You coming home tonight? I miss you. I love you. You're like, what do you mean? You asked for divorce. You said I was the worst man on earth. I never did that for you. He said, no, I was just upset. You know how to mean that, baby. So they said, this is what this means. Even though there are women who are calm and collective and wise, and there are men who are foolish, they don't know how to argue, they don't know how to talk, and they don't know how to present themselves. But we're talking about what is muftarad, what is presupposed. Everybody understand this? So they say this is what this means. And it proves that men are not supposed to have types of jewelry. Some of the ulama, they say a man is not even to wear a wristwatch. Some of them, not all of them, they say not even wear a wristwatch because the wristwatch is jewelry. The one that has the metal band, the link. Gold and diamonds, presidential, and then there's an earring and this chain and this name, and then the person has a bunch of gold and silver, like a woman. This is what they say. Some of them say this is what this verse what? What this verse means. This is not my speech. I didn't say I agree with it or disagree with it. For anyone to say, how could you say this? What are you saying? How are you saying? Presenting what some of the ulama of Islam what? Say. And Allah knows best. Hopefully the point I'm trying to get to is what? Clear. Bi-idhnillah.
Assalamu alaikum, ya Sheikh. And this was AC from Germany, from home. Is it haram to work without letting the government know? And then take money from the government for jobless people, what is usually just for jobless?
What's important is when it comes to living as a minority in non-Muslim countries, non-Muslim lands, and oftentimes the ruling pertains to living in Muslim lands as well. One goes to Egypt or Morocco or Saudi or Kuwait, and he finds all types of secular and nominal rules as well. Okay, but most cases, or more specifically speaking about Western countries, which the Muslims are a minority, and there is secular system of law. Overseas, different story. The Muslims are a majority, even if the system is not the Sharia, but they're still the majority, so it's a bit different. So double black eye now. Muslims are the minority, and the system of law is not the system of the Sharia. There are certain things which they consider haram and you have to do, and it's not binding in Islam. It's not binding. It isn't binding. And there are other things which are binding, and you do have to do. Being a citizen of this country, carrying that passport, living in the security, the peace, taking the benefits. You can't just cherry pick. Certain things that you have to fulfill as a citizen of that country, and other things that you cannot fulfill as a citizen of that what? Of that country. So therefore, this is the support that's for jobless people. And you do have a job, and you also take that support. And you put on a paper that I don't have a job. I work off of the record. Nafis, the person got married, what? Common law. I was never married. I'm not married because I was never married, according to the state. Didn't lie to you. So why do you say that? What do you put it on the paper for? Because the job that you have doesn't bring in enough money. And for you to get more money, you have to do something haram. And you have to take care of your family, your mother, your sick grandfather. And it's a necessity to take the assistance from the government as well. And you're forced to lie. Perhaps it's permissible. If you're just asking for extra money that you don't need, it isn't necessary, and you're just lying just to feed your greed, then we say don't do that. Whether it's haram in Islam or whether it's just unethical, and will lead to the Muslims having a bad name. Muslims being parasites. Muslims being people that are just leeches. They don't look, they don't work. Look, this is haram, that's haram, this is kufr, we're all going to the hellfire, we're dogs, pigs, and monkeys, but they live in our lands. They make babies, they have 2, 3, 4, 5 wives, they get divorced, they have welfare, and that's all Muslims do. This is a reality. And I've heard this coming out of people's mouths in Canada, in America. Wallahi, this is a reality. They say this. So what message are we putting on for the non-Muslims? Muslims are workers. They work like dogs, as we say. 2-3 jobs the Muslims have. Muslims are clean. Muslims are honest. Muslims are brave. Muslims are family-oriented people. This is the message that we should be giving out to the non-Muslims. And that is a means of them entering into Islam. Just like there were countless countries and lands in which the people entered into Islam there was no steel. There were no bullets, no gunpowder. There were no swords and spears and halberds and pole arms. There were no catapults thrown against walls and castles. People accepted Islam peacefully because they saw how upright the Muslims were, how straightforward they were. So if we're living crooked, saying one thing, doing another, lying, stealing, cheating, and it's not a reason, it's not a necessity, it isn't something which they took from you and it's your haqq to get back, then it should not be done, regardless whether it's haram or whether it's not haram but it's just unethical and it's counterproductive with regards to putting on a good role for the non-Muslims. That's my advice on this situation with regards to marriage, polygamy, polygyny, and the list goes on. Wallahu ta'ala alam.
Assalamu alaikum. My initials SG from Brooklyn, New York. When dhikring after salah, do you have to say Allahu Akbar, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah in a specific order?
When you make the dhikr, it depends on what type of dhikr you're making. You just want to make general dhikr? Tfaddal. Udhkur Allah dhikran kathiran. Mention Allah abundantly, it says in the Quran. Mention Allah. وَرَجُلٌ ذَكَرَ اللَّهَ خَالِيًا فَفَاضَتْ عَيْنَاهُ. A man who mentioned Allah by himself and his eyes watered. From the 7 people that will be shielded from on the day of judgment, receive the shade. So if you just want to make a general dhikr, alhamdulillah, subhanallah, Allahu Akbar, but if you're actually doing it based off of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, he who makes tasbih of Allah 33 times, tahmeed of Allah, like this and like that, his sins will be washed away. When كانت مثل زبد البحر, even if it's like the foam on the sea, then no, you stick to how the Prophet ﷺ legislated it, how he mentioned it, in the order in which he mentioned it, in order for you to get that reward. And the closest or the fastest, quickest way between 2 points is a what? Straight line. So don't make a collage of dhikr. Don't mix and match. Make the dhikr that the Prophet ﷺ made. In this order, in this time, he recited this in the qunut. But it's permissible to say other things. There's nothing wrong with it. Sheikh Fulan, stick, the closest point is what? Straight line. Do the adhkar of the Prophet ﷺ. That's the best advice I could give you. And Allah knows best.
Initials NY from Dundee, Scotland. Barakallahu Feek. Please then recommend any book to purify the soul.
The question is regarding a book to purify the soul. First one is the Quran al-Kareem, obviously. This book that I'm holding right here, these 6 books of hadith, purify the soul. Even if you're not reading about a hadith that's talking specifically about purifying the soul, reading any hadith, any ayah is a means of what? Purifying the soul, because it's dhikr and it's ilm, and that's the nourishment of the soul. Like Shaykh Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala said, that the body feels the nourishment from food. He says, and the soul feels the nourishment from ilm. The mind and the soul feels the nourishment from what it reads and what it hears, just like a person feels the nourishment when he drinks and when he eats and when you sleep. So that's the general answer. As far as something specific, then I would say any book of Ibn al-Qayyim, any book of Ibn Taymiyyah, all right? Any book of Ibn Rajab. There are specifics such as Dhammu Qaswat al-Qulub, Dispraise of Hardness of the Heart, Ibn Rajab, Al-Jawab al-Kafi, Liman Sa'ala an al-Dawa al-Shafi, or Ad-Da' wa Dawa, Ibn Qayyim, the Dua of the Distressed Yunus, Ibn Taymiyyah. You can't go wrong with the title with those books. You're talking about specific books, huh? I would say start off with the library of Ibn Qayyim. Allah knows best.
Abul Hassan from Egypt, Cairo. How many times have you read Fathul Bari?
Question coming from Cairo. How many times have you read Fathul Bari? To be honest with you, Akhil Kareem or Ukhtul Kareema, I'm just a small pea pod. Small pea pod. Tiny pea inside a bigger pod. There's nothing spectacular that we have here. How many times have we read this book, that book? We barely read, just a little bit. And Allah knows. There are people who read for hours and hours and hours, and days and weeks and months and years, much more than us. We've only read it, what? A little bit. Secondly is, when I read Fathul Bari or any other book, I'm not keeping count. I don't keep count. If you happen to know off the top of your head, tayyib. If not, there's no count. You go to the book when you need it, or you read the book because you love it. It doesn't matter how many times you read it, as long as you what? هذا هو. يعني, I'm not saying that it's haram to keep count. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to keep count. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that if a person does mention it, then it means he's show off. Doesn't mean that. Doesn't mean that. Wallahu alam.
Lutfi H from Queens, New York City. Assalamu alaikum, beloved Sheikh, Sensei Mufti. Hope all is well with you. My question is, what is the ruling on praying in congregation in the masjid for brothers? Shukr.
For what?
Praying in congregation in the masjid for brothers.
For brothers. What you mean? Okay, clear. For brothers. طيب. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Akhil Kareem, Lutfi, may Allah bless you as well. We definitely miss your splendid presence. May Allah give you success in both worlds. Allahumma ameen. I would say to you two things. First of all, I'll give you a piece of advice to fear Allah, and it's haram for you to deprive your brothers of your company. That's first and foremost. It's impermissible, akhi, to keep your smile from the brothers. May Allah bless you. Ameen. Secondly is, the scholars of Islam, they differ on this issue with regards to the congregational prayer. Is it mandatory or not? The view that I consider to be most correct is that Salatul Jama'ah is mandatory upon every strong, healthy-bodied male who isn't sick. He isn't somewhere in which is dangerous. It's raining, it's pouring, it's snowing. It's a wild animal outside of someone's house. A raccoon in the urban, a possum. Anyone knows? This is a what? This is a reality. No deer in the inner city, akhi. Or bear. A deer, a possum, a raccoon, something like this, a wild, crazy dog. That's one thing, Or you live in the suburban or rural parts. A snake, or a fox or something like that. Or maybe something worse than that, a mountain lion. You live in a mountain somewhere, This is a reality. If there's nothing that prevents you from going outside and going to the masjid, sickness, illness, is dangerous, it's very, very, very inclement weather, then I believe that it's mandatory to go to the masjid as long as the masjid is in a relative vicinity of you, relatively close to you. I take that view that it's fard ayn upon men with those conditions. And there are other ulama who say that it's fard kifaya, it's only mandatory upon a group of believers, and others who say other than that, which we don't consider to be very strong opinions. So therefore, the fatwa that I would pass on to you from the people of knowledge is that men have to go to the masjid and make jama'ah with those conditions. And Allah knows best. This is based off of many texts from the Quran and from the authentic sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. From the strongest of those texts is the obligation of making the prayer in congregation at times of war, as it's mentioned in Surah An-Nisa. Also, the Prophet ﷺ thinking about burning down the homes upon men who do not go to the masjid. And Allah knows best.
Here from New York is using a car permissible.
We need a last name, and we need the city or the town or the section as well. Next question.
This is OB from UK. What about
Sorry?
This is Taba.
Tabat Bulaq. كما قلنا, as we said, get in where you fit in. You want the bulaq, you want this one, you want that one. Fath al-Bari is important. If you got the money and the time and the ability to buy all of the prints and to collect them and have this one and that one and compare them, فَبِهَا وَنِعْمَتْ, then it's an excellent thing. That's a what? an excellent thing, inshallah ta'ala. Kullu af. The Prophet says, Al-mu'minu bi khayrun wa ahabu ila Allahi min al-mu'min al-da'if. Wa fi kullin khayr. He says the strong believer is better and more beloved to Allah than the weak believer. But in each of them is what? Is good. And Allah knows best. This will be the last question. We will stop our Q&A session. Jazakumullahu khairan. Sallallahu sallam mubarak ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabina wa imamina Muhammad. Plus, stop the